Hey, what do you guys know? It is another Tuesday night. Glad everyone is going to hopefully be here. We'll have a little bit of fun like we normally do. Wanted to put together a couple of different topics. They're always kind of little bit kind of some buzzwords and stuff in there, so to speak. So tonight's just going to be kind of a fun one. Catch up with you guys a little bit. We'll kind of go over some things here in a second. Probably have a little bit of fun with you guys early on for maybe the first 10 or 15 minutes. So we'll kind of dive into the topics and stuff tonight. So before I do that, let me say hi to a couple people that were in really early. So Forlorn Hope, good to see you. Roy R. Does Cocktails. Cheers, buddy. Marty, Whiskey Nose, good to see you, bud. Mr. Mark Schwartz, good to see you, Mark. Hopefully you and Kim are doing well. Mr. Keegan Burdorf, good to see you, Keegan. Oh, there's my man from the East Coast. Mr. Christopher David, good to see you, buddy. Fellow Wisconsinite, Mr. Brandon, how are you doing, buddy? Mr. Henson, good to see you, bud. Appreciate it. Oh, boy, we got trouble in the house. Mr. Paulie P, good to see you, bud. Appreciate it. How's it going, Sean? Good to see you, bud. Appreciate it. Let's see what else we got. Dave, good to see you, bud. Appreciate you. DC, how's it going? Good to see you as well. Hopefully you are doing well and staying warm over there on the East Coast. Always good to see you in here. Stacy, good to see you. 4-Leaf Whiskey. If anyone is totally into some Irish whiskey and other whiskeys, make sure you give Stacy and her YouTube channel, 4-Leaf Whiskey, a follow and subscribe. My man from the South, Mr. Wiley, good to see you, bud. My brother from the North, Mr. Alex Brewer. How's it going, buddy? How's it going, Moose? Good to see you, buddy. So anyway, so as you guys can see, tonight's kind of two topics. Whiskeys, I think we should stop passing on for whatever reason, and a few brands that maybe need a little more love. Why are they still not getting the traction or love that they deserve? So before we kind of dive into some of those things, let me know what everyone's sipping on tonight. Always important to kind of hear maybe some Mash and Journey Whiskey Club picks, maybe. If not, no big deal. MJ, good to see you. Appreciate it. What do we got here? Mr. Mojo, good to see you, bud. Appreciate you coming in. What else we got? All right, so let's do this. So we're going to dedicate the first maybe, I don't know, let's say 10 or 15 minutes for you guys. So your questions, what you're drinking on, all kinds of good stuff. So this will be, since you are gracing me with your presence tonight, we'll give you 10, 15 minutes and hit me with what you got. Peter B, good to see you, bud. Let's see. So, all right, cool. Some Squib Game. All right, it's been a little while, Keegan, since I've gone to that. Now, you guys will probably see Keegan is a little bit of a Barrel King fanboy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I completely understand why. So, some great stuff, but always fun to hear what people are sipping on. I thought someone mentioned before, I missed the boss. How do I miss the boss? Katie, good to see you. Hopefully you and Ethan are doing well. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Actually, what is this? Tuesday, basically a little over a week or so. So we're looking forward to that. We'll kind of dive into a little bit of that later on too. So Dustin, good to see you. Appreciate it. A little Larceny C923. Cannot go wrong with that. Definitely. Oh, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A122. Always a nice one. I think I already said cheers to Phil, but if not, cheers, Phil. A little Angel's Envy. Can't go wrong. Oh, Angel's Envy Old Fashioned. Can't go wrong with that at all. Sipping on a little American whiskey. So I still have the original. I got a little bit of an Old Carter American whiskey batch 1, and I've got one unopened. Someday I'll probably open the other, but for some reason I've kind of held on to that Old Carter American whiskey batch 1. So Oh yeah, I love the A123. I got a video coming on Sunday that will touch on all three of them in terms of some rankings, my opinion, some good things like that. So looking forward to getting that. So can't go wrong with that. You know, Stacy, I wish I somehow went to Irish whiskeys more often. I really enjoy them, but for some reason, I just don't find myself going to them. Now, I don't have that many of them, first of all, and maybe that has a lot to uh, has to do with it. But it's something I always enjoy. I just love a good Irish whiskey, and so anyway. But well, sorry about that. All right, sorry, Phil. I could remember if I said Heidi or not, but anyway. What else we got here? Oh, you got the old whiskey and a nice Padron going. All right, sounds like a nice evening right there. So, all right, Mike, what do you got? Hey, Scott and group, just sipping on a little 1792 sweet wheat. All right, one that's probably a little on the underrated side. Not one you see all that often, but no complaints there. Love it, and that may or may not find its way into tonight's list, Adam. So one other thing. So for any patrons that are in here tonight following this, I'm going to be going live to kind of do a couple kind of updates, what's going on, whiskey's coming, what we'll be doing in the next kind of month to maybe 3 months. So I'll post this later on through Patreon. I'll drop a link in there for the patrons, and we can kind of chat a little bit about that. So what else we got here? Stay hydrated. We're going to do our best. So, all right, Phil, what do you got? Sipping a little Cali Red Zin. Okay. All right. So have to rest up for tomorrow's tasting. Okay. Tomorrow. You have a, what's going on? Let's see. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? All right. So you must not be talking about our Thursday tasting. All right. So Phil, let me know what tomorrow's tasting is. Interested. What else we got here? A little Booker's chapter 7. Oh, little book. Oh yeah, the little book. Yeah, that's the in the chat in the chapter 7. That's the newest one, I believe. Correct? If I'm not mistaken. The Waxter, good to see you, buddy. Hello again, whiskey friends. Always good to see Mr. Wack in here. Yep, we'll be talking about that. Talk about that later tonight, Keegan. Love it. Ice, I absolutely love that Middle West Spirits Dark Pumpernickel. It's just a fantastic whiskey. So, Timmy, good to see you. Appreciate it. Mr. Wiley, all right, just got into Founders KBS Stout and Bastard. They're fantastic. What are some of the other stouts to try? Oh man, that's another kind of rabbit hole to go down. So yeah, stouts. We're into that season now where things are starting to cool down a little bit, getting into some stout season. Can't go wrong with the Founders KBS. That's the nice part about that one now is you can find it. It used to be kind of, again, one of those ones that when they released the KBS was difficult. Now the stuff's everywhere. So that's kind of a nice one as well. So yeah, it's not called Lucky Bastard. What the hell is what is the other Founders? Something I know what you're talking about though, William. There's my buddy from Colorado Springs. How's it going, Sergey? Good to see you, buddy. Let's see, the 1792 full proof store pick. We had a couple. Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Moose, the JT Mellick, man, that's going to be a sneaky one this year. I think there's going to be a lot of people who really enjoy that more than maybe maybe they even think. So you'll have to let me know when you get into that. Let me know what you think on that. But that was one that I was pleasantly surprised with, just kind of everything and how that ultimately turned out, and just the overall richness. Like, you wouldn't think you'd get that from a 100% corn whiskey, or excuse me, 100% rice whiskey. It's a really, really nice one. So little Peerless Double Oak. All right, can't go wrong with that, Timmy. Stay inebriated. Yeah, there's probably a few of us in here that could subscribe to that. So good to see you, Dougie. Good to see you, bud. Mr. William Hall, good to see you, bud. Appreciate you coming in tonight. What else we got? There's my man, Eric. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate it. Let's see. I'm trying to catch back up a little bit, but I don't want to miss some things in case. A lot to see. Johnny, good to see you, buddy. Hopefully we'll see you and Renee in a week and a half or so. You'll have to let me know. Reach back out. Let me know if that Friday night will work. You guys can let me know. All right, I'm all caught up. So good to see everyone. Thanks everybody for joining tonight. As you can see, we've got a couple little topics. I think that thing's going to continue to fall, so I'll put that up there. Whatever. So a couple topics. Obviously, some whiskeys that we all want everything that's allocated, most of the time. As much as it gets to be tiresome and just the hassle of trying to find all of these allocated bourbons when they release, rise, whatever it may be, there continues to be these, I'm going to say, great whiskeys, bourbons, rise, whatever they may be, whatever the whiskey is you prefer, that just sit on the shelves and we just keep passing them up. And they're in my opinion, I mean, maybe not the best of the best, but they're great whiskeys, in their own right. They're whiskeys that I think deserve to probably not be passed up as much. Like, there's one or two that are on this list that I think could almost fall into the category of whiskeys that are on par with a lot or some of them that are allocated, that are out there. Now, just because it's allocated, first of all, doesn't mean it's great whiskey. It's just we can't get it, or it doesn't come to our area, and for whatever reason, everyone goes crazy over them. Weller is one of the things that comes to mind, and to kind of touch on that one, it's they're good whiskeys, but I don't necessarily think they're worth what people do or pay for them, in my opinion. Now, it's your money, you can do whatever you want, but overall, I just think that we get so focused on some of these other ones that we're not able to get, that we're passing on ones that are maybe better in a lot of cases. So the first one that comes to my mind, and I've been a fan of it since day one, it was either one or two, going back 2 or 3 years ago, of my whiskey of the year. And it is this guy right here. So the Four Roses Small Batch Select. It is, in my opinion, and I'll say in my opinion, one of the better whiskeys that are on just about every shelf in every liquor store, grocery store that sells whiskey, whatever it may be, wherever you buy your liquor, it's generally there. It's a decent price, $55, give or take, 104 proof, non-chill filtered, a blend of a few different mash bills, again, that Four Roses puts out there. The flavor profile of it for me is so just on point. It is an absolutely delicious whiskey. And at $55, I just think it is an incredible bourbon. And it's just one of those ones for me that I want to go to quite often. It's an easy profile. Again, in blinds, it doesn't necessarily always do the best, but because of the kind of the softness. But anyway, it's absolutely, to me, um, uh, fantastic. So it's just one of those bourbons for me, again, that I want to go to, that I see sitting on the shelf all the time, and I just think it could easily be a whiskey that if you put this in a fancier bottle, that a lot of people would go absolutely crazy for. So let me go back. I saw a few people were commenting before. By my liquor from the back of a van. Gee, it doesn't surprise me, man. Doesn't surprise me. All right, well, William, what do you got? Personally, I go for the Shelfer single barrel and save $15. Not a fan of the small batch select. You know what? And you can call you can the Four Roses, the single barrel, the small batch select. I guess horse apiece. You could go either way. I'm perfectly fine with both of them. For me, there's something that I like the slight richness a little bit more of this than I do the single barrel. And again, it does drink for me a little bit softer, but an absolutely fantastic profile. And I wouldn't argue with anyone who wanted to lump in the Four Roses single barrel with that whatsoever. So, William, I would agree and disagree with you. So, but again, hey, to each their own. So. All right, Adam, what do you got? Am I one of the only ones that's not a big Four Roses fan? Clearly. I think there's a lot of, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a lot of people that I know that dislike Four Roses, but again, to each their own. It's one of those brands that even their limited editions or their single barrel proofs, they never drink big and bold, like you get into like Old Forester or something like that, big brands, that have those big, rich, heavy profiles. Four Roses to me is not that style. Like, I think of Four Roses honestly as a more like elegant kind of bourbon, if that makes sense. No, I have had some of these single barrel proofs that are absolutely ridiculous, but I don't still think that those profiles would necessarily hold up to the big, heavy, they're not going to go up against stags and things like that. It's just not going to, you're not going to trump that kind of profile with what it is that Four Roses has. So. Wish some of those were still around. I mean, back in the day with the Elliott Select, absolutely incredible stuff. So, all right, Mark, what do you got? So, Four Roses Small Batch Select is Kim's favorite comfort bourbons. Yeah, it is. It's just one of those for me. Again, Mark, it's a bourbon that hits a lot of just different categories of something that I really enjoy. Again, it's easier to drink, has nice flavors. Again, it's just not going to compete necessarily with those big, heavy, bold profiles. So, yeah, Peter, can't go wrong with either one. No argument there. So, let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, I mean, floral, that's one of those things. Again, it drinks a little bit on that softer side. So it's just, it's one of those things where not every night I want big and bold in your face. Sometimes I just want that kind of profile. And for me, Four Roses, is just one of those brands that I tend to kind of lean towards when I just know what it is that I'm going to get, what it is that I want. So interesting. Yeah, I'm always interesting, or it's always interesting to hear, what it is that people like and what they don't like. And again, makes no difference to me. You drink whatever you like. What you spend your money on, it's your money. So I mean, that's the way it is. It's just a brand that I tend to kind of lean towards, and just knowing what it is, and I enjoy that profile. So, Mr. Rance, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that's popping up within a lot of the kind of whiskey industry nowadays. So yeah, can't go wrong with the latest stag, no doubt there. Yeah, the Bullet 10 again, another kind of soft one, kind of again in that Four Roses ish kind of profile. So yeah, Scott's old fashioned. I'll take it in just about anything. I'm Keegan. I'd be perfectly fine if someone wants to give me that. So yeah, William, and this is the thing. So like, I mean, for me, I just don't get locked into heavy proof whiskey all the time. Like I to be honest, I don't want it all the time. Like if I have something that's around that 100 proof, kind of on a more nightly basis, that's fine for me. I really just don't. I mean, I drink a lot of whiskey, and doing barrel picks and all these other things that I just don't always need to be blown away by proof. I'm not a total proof monster anyway. For me, when you start getting into above that 120 proof, it starts to get into something where I'm focusing, depending on again what the whiskey is, too much on the heat factor, and that's not something I necessarily enjoy. But to each their own. I mean, drink what you want. So, but anyway, that was kind of my first one. So we'll switch it up here a little bit. Now, this isn't necessarily in any particular order, but this will be, as far as ones that are passing up. You guys can let me know. Is this one, have we become so spoiled from the previous releases with them being 10, 12, upwards of 14 years? Are we now starting to get so like kind of bougie that we've missed out on the, let me get rid of this. I could throw up here. Have we started to kind of, overlook these Knob Creek single barrels, even when they're in that 8, 9, maybe 10-year range? And for me, it's still something that when I see them, they're usually at or less than $50, again, give or take, for a bourbon that is anywhere from still 8, 9, 10 years old. Like, I mean, the argument there would be like, it's not young whiskey, it's really nice aged whiskey for still a good price. So the argument, again, if you're not a Beam fan or down in Knob Creek, I get that. But it's just one of those whiskeys that you see a lot of club picks. I shouldn't say club picks. You see a lot of store picks. Just there's quite a few of them that are out there. You go to a lot of liquor stores, and everyone seems to have had a Knob Creek pick. And I love them. I love how different oftentimes they are, the different profiles they can be. It still seems to be a good value. And let's just kind of average it out. Say the picks are maybe 9 years old. That's a great age on a bourbon. So having something for $50, that's a 9-year, basically cask strength bourbon. Man, I just don't know how you can go wrong with that. So, all right. So the Knob Creek 18, and am I mistaken that it's a slightly lower proof? I don't know if the Knob Creek 18 is, they're not bottling that at 120 proof, are they? It's been a long time since I've had a Knob Creek 18. Just had some of the Knob Creek 12 cask strength the other day, which I absolutely loved. But I couldn't remember what they're bottling the 18 at. So I think it's easy to find people or picks. People pass them looking for unicorns. Yeah, you know what? And that's kind of the argument that I have, Adam, is that are you passing up a 9-year bourbon for some other like unicorn that you're maybe probably not going to get, and that's $50, and it's basically a cask strength bourbon for a great price. Like I just don't get it with some of these things. I think people get so locked into these brands and all of these whiskeys that you just can't get, that it kind of drives me a little bit crazy watching everyone go absolutely ape shit over some of these brands and releases that have now quickly increased in price, and people are still willing to pay that kind of money for whiskeys that frankly aren't often not even that old, in terms of things that we're talking about. This, if you stuck this Knob Creek, single barrel bourbon in some fancy allocated bourbon, you know what? Everyone would love this shit, and that's the way it goes. And that's why oftentimes, even when I'm doing blinds and you give people certain things and you don't know what it is, you eliminate the bias of a label or the price. And then people have to judge what exactly it is they enjoy based on that. So anyway, that was another one. Here will be one for me that's a little bit of I'm sure this will probably trigger a few people, but this is still one that I enjoy. And yeah, okay, so that's what I thought. So, and again, that price for a Knob Creek 18 at 100 proof, my argument would be, why spend that kind of money on the Knob Creek 18? Again, you can do whatever you want, but why spend that kind of money on a Knob Creek 18 at 100 proof? Unless, again, that's your wheelhouse. And again, I don't care. But when you have something that's a little higher proof and is a fraction of that price. So anyway, I'll leave that alone. So what do you got, Donald? So Knob Creek single barrel is even cheaper than $50. Oh yeah, that's pretty awesome. If you can get some Knob Creek single barrels for less than $50, that's pretty darn good. So, but again, it's your money. You guys buy whatever it is you want, chase whatever you want. I'm just kind of done with a lot of that. What I'm able to get, I'm perfectly happy with, and I'll keep buying these other ones and be perfectly fine with it. So. All right, William, what do you got here? So you pass on, man. I don't know if there's anything you're gonna agree with me on tonight. I don't think so. But again, that's fine. I mean, this is part of this conversation of why it is that people want to buy what they want. And again, that's fine. And whatever your decision is, if they start getting a little bit expensive, I can see that. But again, the argument for, a Knob Creek at 120 proof single barrel that's 9 or 10 years old, that's $70. I would love to see what the argument would be, or the comparison, what you're going to kind of flip-flop in that place for that kind of money. And again, it doesn't matter what the answer is. It's just one of those easy things. So Sam Houston 15 versus Calumet 15. Is it just the same thing? I wouldn't say it's the same thing. If you had both of them next to you, I think you'd quickly realize that they're both not the same thing. So cheers, Richie. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you coming in. Let's see. Mr. Bellinger, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in tonight. Okay, so here's the other one. So you guys let me know. I think I already know what William's answer is. He'll probably hate this one, of course. But the Maker's cask strength, again, I think at $40, this is essentially the heart and soul of Maker's Mark. And this is where, for me, it's where it all starts. All right, let me go back. So this is a little bit unfair because that's not something that I think a lot of people are necessarily able to get. I get it. You're in the area and you have a lot of love for ASW, and I get that. But if we're going to compare like big brands to big brands and all of that, that was my kind of my comparison. Like, I get it where we all have local things that we probably love, but again, I completely get that. So, and I understand the supporting local, and I totally appreciate that. So, um, Max, funny that you mentioned that. That's something that we're going to be putting up a poll on here soon. Would a lot of people within the club want one? And in my opinion, I say yes. I absolutely love them. I think they're oftentimes, again, like I mentioned before, good values for what it is. And I would vote strongly for us doing one for you guys to have. So that would be my vote. So better than Weller. Let's see. Man, I would take a Knob Creek. I would take a Knob Creek pick, or even the Maker's cast strength. I think is probably what you're talking about over Weller. My guess would be, and again, all of that stuff, even the Antique 107 with this, I think this still has a little bit more richness. I think the Antique 107 oftentimes is hotter. I think it can be sometimes a hot mess. I've had some before that were not very good. The Maker's cast strength for me is, I don't want to say the best of what Maker's does, because I like some of their kind of their wood series and those. But again, that's slightly different. However, they're still basically starting with the Maker's cast strength as the base. What they do with it from there, whether it's age more or whatever it may be, that's the fun part about Makers. And when I recommend Makers, it's always this. If you want to proof it down, great. I would recommend getting this over just the standard one, unless you're just into making cocktails with a wheated bourbon. Then the standard Makers is fine. But from a sipping standpoint, I absolutely enjoy the Maker's cast strength. I think it offers a tremendous profile and value kind of comparison. So, but I know there's a lot of people that either love Makers or hate it. It seems to be one or the other. And for me, it's one of those brands that I enjoy it. I like a little bit more of what they're starting to do now, where they're kind of changing it up and not just so kind of just mainstream, regular kind of cast strength and a few of those things, the FAEs and all that. That stuff is all great. But again, on a daily basis or an average kind of cast strength wheated bourbon, honestly, there's not that many cast strength wheated bourbons out there. And even if there were, there's not many that are at or around that $40 kind of price point. So that's why I included this in my whiskeys that I kind of think people should stop passing on because of really what it kind of offers. So, have no problem. Absolutely enjoy the Woodford Double Oak, and it's just kind of a really nice double oak bourbon to have, and you're not going to get any arguments out of me on that. The only thing is, obviously, at that proof point, again, if that's what you're in the mood for I'll say a higher flavor profile at a lower proof, I think the Woodford Double Oak offers all of that, Donald, in my opinion. So, I enjoy the Maker's Mark cast strength, but don't mind paying a little more for some of the picks. I can understand that. It offers, again, a little bit something different, with all the different staves that people are kind of working with. Even though I would say oftentimes the like either club or store picks can be kind of in that $75 range. So you're almost paying double for a like a maker's cat or a maker's like store pick, something along those lines, or club pick. You're going to pay a little bit more of a premium oftentimes. But again, supporting people and all of that, I completely get that part of it as well. And again, if it's something you enjoy more and you're willing to pay a premium or a little bit more, perfect. We all do it. We've all done it, and I have no issues with that. So you're just saying just the regular Maker's 46. So you prefer that slightly lower proof point in the Maker's 46 versus the cask strength. To me, there's really not much of a comparison of the two. So I don't mind the Maker's 46. It just sometimes for me drinks a little bit almost flat, kind of. I don't know why, but I don't know. But it is what it is. I like a little bit more for the weeded bourbon. I like a little bit of that higher proof point with those in terms of what it offers. But the Maker's 46 cask strength, I absolutely love that. So whatever it is that's happening with that little higher proof point, I think it shows up a lot. So, all right, Richie, what do you got? Scott, the Maker's cask strength has got lost lately. Thanks for bringing. Yeah, I mean, Richie, that's just one of those bourbons that, if you want a cask strength weeded bourbon that you can find, this stuff's just about everywhere nowadays. So it offers, I think, a pretty good value. So, yeah, can't go wrong. Not going to argue with you on that, Phil, at all. So that will be tonight. So we'll do it probably in about maybe the next 45 minutes to an hour. We'll be doing that, Richie. So, and then we'll go over everything, kind of what's coming, bottles, what's going on, where we're going to be in the next month, 2-3 months, things like that. So we'll do that in a little while. You're getting into some blending and stuff now. So yeah, when you get into that. So yeah, Tibby, the Maker's 101 is kind of a sneaky one as well. That's always one. And when I even reviewed it, man, a long time ago, I was pleasantly surprised with the 101. I just don't know if it's one that people see enough of. That's why I kind of threw the cask strength in. And not that I don't like the 101, but the cask strength was one that you tend to see much more than just the 101, even though I would say you do see it more often than you used to. But yeah, good call out there. You know what? And the thing with weeded bourbons is at times cask strength weeded bourbons can drink a little bit or feel a little bit on the hot side. That is one thing that I hear from a lot of people, and I get it, and I've gotten it as well. And maybe you just kind of get used to that a little bit. But Phil, I completely understand what you're saying with that. So, again, here's the thing. I don't think, when you're comparing those two, William, the larceny, like I can't go down to Total Wine or my local liquor store and get larceny barrel proof. If you can, great. That's tremendous that you can get that. I can go to Total Wine. I can go anywhere and get this for $40. Now the larceny barrel proof is probably not that much more. What is it? Maybe $60, but the vast majority of people can't just go and get it. So now, if I had my choice, depending on which batch of the larceny barrel proof we're talking, then I'd probably go with the ones that I prefer more. But again, that's not one that we see sitting around very, very often. But That's the issue with if you're comparing those two in my opinion. And again, that's why I've kind of termed this, stop passing on these, because generally speaking, these are all going to be ones that you can find at your like kind of local liquor store. So yeah, you know what? And it is, William, pricing sometimes is weird when you look at some of these things, like how are some of these more expensive versus the other ones? And maybe it's a volume thing, maybe because they produce less of something, it's more, I don't know. Sometimes I'm absolutely amazed by that as well. So all right, what do you got, Todd? I used to just hunt for Knob Creek store picks in Georgia and Tennessee back in 2017, because for $40 to 45, couldn't beat it. And they were, yeah. And Todd, we got very spoiled with a lot of those. Even when I remember some of those things being in that 11, 12-year range where we were kind of so snobby, they're like, nah, that's not 15-year Knob Creek or something like that. And people would pass them up. And I did it as well, where I was kind of almost holding out for the older ones again. And now everyone would kind of give their armor a leg for even getting a 12-year Knob Creek, which would be fantastic. So, all right, Mike, what do you got here? So for barrel proofs, try drinking them out of an open top glass, like a highball glass. Yeah, I can see that. So sometimes anytime you use something that's more concentrated, it doesn't allow for the alcohol that's there to escape. So if you're drinking maybe a higher proof whiskey, whatever it may be, out of like a nice rocks glass, you want to allow some of that alcohol or the vapors to escape, then, good idea. So I would say that's not the case in most places. I would argue that most places, that just about any of us in here aren't going to walk into a liquor store necessarily and see Larceny Barrel Proof just sitting on the shelves. Not like you would Maker's Cask Strength, in my opinion. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just don't see. And then I've been into a lot of liquor stores around the country, and not very often do I walk in and see any of the Larceny Barrel Proof. I think we all wish we would. But it's not something that I've seen very often. And if you do have that in your area, that's fantastic. Let's see, what do we got here? So I always try to pull out the yeah, keep tugging on that. Keep tugging on it. So that's what some of the makers will get you on this one. So you can pull all you want. There's not much that's going to happen on that one. So let's see. Thanks, Moose. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys can, just hit the old thumbs up. The old YouTubes, they appreciate the thumbs up and all of that stuff. So I appreciate it. And Donald, you lost me at Scotch, man. I get it, like value. I just don't know enough about it to even be able to know like even what's a great value or not. But I'm sure whatever you're listing there right now is 100% the truth, but I'm just not a Scotch guy, and it is what it is. All right, let's go. All right, so we've already hit on that one. So this one, I think we're a little bit more on the agreement side with this. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but here's another one that again, in that 100 proof range or right at 100 proof, the Old Forester Signature 100 is just another fantastic bourbon for that price point at or around $25, 100 proof. I think what makes it nice is the fact that it has, for me, and it's something that I enjoy, is that profile. A little bit more of those kind of like darker, richer notes, maybe some chocolates, heavier fruit, brown sugars, things along those lines, which again is a little bit more typical of Old Forester anyway. But the Old Forester Signature 100 for me is a fantastic one. So yeah, the Russell's 10 again is another one. No arguments, for me on that. And I would say it's probably definitely one that could be in or on this list of whiskeys to just not pass on. It's the Russell's 10 for me oftentimes can drink a little softer. Like I wish that was 100 proof. Like I would like to try that at 100 proof versus the 90. Like I feel that Russell's 10 at 100 could be so much better. And maybe even if you had to pay an extra, let's say $5 or something, uh, I mean, I would be willing to pay it. It's already a fairly inexpensive bourbon, but again, I'm a big fan of the Russell's 10. I just wish it had a little bit more proof. It might kind of just ramp it up a little bit more. So, but anyway, so let me know your thoughts on the Old Forester Signature 100. Is it something that is something that you are a fan of? Is it something that you tend to pick up? I honestly have used and been using this for not only sipping on, but for cocktails. Like I think it has become for me one of the most versatile bourbons that are out there that you can find just about anywhere. And it's just fantastic. I love what it does for both sipping and for cocktails. So we are in agreement. So yeah, the Old Forester 100. Oh yeah, the rye for $25. No issues with that as well. It's one of those things that I've used for cocktails too. One thing I will say with the Old Forester rye is with that higher barley content that it has in it, it does offer a little bit more of that kind of unique kind of citrusy note, in a cocktail. So if you're not trying to make it so citrusy, more of like that, like lemon citrus that you kind of tend to get from it a little bit, it can be a little bit difficult at times to use in cocktails, but I would say 90% of the time you're perfectly fine with the Old Forester 100 on the rye side of things. So William, I would have no issue. So if I came to your place, you made me a drink with Old Forester 100 rye, I'd drink it all day. I'd drink it all day long. So Old Forester 100, not bad at all. The 120 is delicious. Yep, agree with you on that. Again, you're pretty much doubling the price point with those two kind of comparisons. But I think you might actually enjoy the char grilled peach. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. First of all, I'm not like a peach guy at all. I don't know if it tastes like peach or whatever it is, but I'm not a peach flavored person at all, Donald. But it sounds like it might be easy to sip on with it being sweet like that. Yep. No, I would agree. I think it's just become a very versatile, whiskey for a lot of things, and it's something I use oftentimes in blinds as the starter. So it's creating this flavor profile that I want to take people through, but it allows for them to build on that and build off of something that already has a pretty decent or more robust kind of profile to it, even at 100 proof. So I would agree on the Old Forester 100, although recently we had it in 100 proof blind and Evan Williams Bottle & Bond and McKenna beat it. So was surprised because like Old Forester. Yeah. So I can see where I guess I can definitely see where the McKenna would probably beat it. That's probably a slightly richer profile with it being an older bourbon. So you're probably going to have more oak, a little bit more richness to that with the McKenna. But interesting that the Evan Williams Bottle & Bond beat it out. So I know that can maybe be a little bit kind of heftier or drink proofier. So maybe that was one of the issues with that. So, yep, absolutely love the Cooper's Craft 100. Wish it was something that more people could find. I still think that there's like limited allocation on that. We don't see it at all really around here. So couldn't agree more. Christopher, it's one of those bourbons that for me is maybe the most passed on, that has probably one of those profiles that you could sneak into an allocated bottle that would trick an awful lot of people at $60 for that profile. So no issue with that whatsoever. So I always love those long time first time chatter. I have to assume I'm on the earlier buyers of the journey, Glencairn. Oh yeah. I have to assume I'm one of the earliest buyers of the journey, Glen. Yeah, one of the early ones. 2017. Jesus, Thomas. That's old school. That's OG back then, 2017. Heck, I think I started like technically in 2017, but it was probably earlier than that before everything really got going on. But yeah, anyway, yeah, Thomas, you're kind of one of the My Bourbon Journey OGs, let's say. So probably a reason for that. We'll leave that one alone. Old Forester 100 or 100. Old Forester 100, Wild Turkey 101. No arguments there at all. I think both fantastic for what they are, and they serve great purposes, I'll say. So oh boy, for me, like I don't even think it's close. I think the Cooper's like when you're comparing the Cooper's Craft 100 to a Russell's 10, to me, Richie, I don't think there's much of a comparison. I think the Cooper's Craft, in terms of what it offers flavor wise. Now that's also a kind of double oaked product, so you're going to get more richness out of the Cooper's Craft 100. So it's definitely one of those bourbons that if you put down a Russell's 10 and a Cooper's Craft 100, I think unless you just don't like the Cooper's Craft profile, most people are probably going to choose the Cooper's Craft 100 just based on the flavor profile. But yeah, wish that had a little more proof. All right, I gotta try to catch back up here, you guys, a little bit. Great for cocktails. Couldn't agree more. Let's see. Oh yeah. So the bottle that we released last week. Let me do this here real quick. It is now public. So this was the bottle that Jared from Barrel King was donating all the proceeds, so that all of that money could essentially be used for any kind of visit and medical expenses, things like that. So give me 1 second. Let me go back and pull that link. Where is that? Shoot, there it is. Okay, I'll post this real quick. So if there's anybody who wants to buy a bottle of this, again, it's a little bit on the pricier side, but again, you have to consider what this is being used for. And here we go. Okay, so that's for the Barrel King bottle. So if there's anybody who wants a bottle of this, it's now public. I don't know how many have been sold. I think they started at like around 190-ish bottles, give or take. But yeah, so if there's anybody who can, I believe you can even use these kind of purchases as like a tax write-off. I'm pretty sure. So because of it being kind of a donation type of thing. So don't quote me on that. But let's see. Yeah, Kessler. I don't think anyone's rushing out for any Kessler. So I think we need to talk about Elijah Craig. In terms of just the regular everyday 94 proof Elijah Craig, no issue with that at all. So let's see. And yeah, here it is. So if you guys see this link, you can click on that. That will allow you to buy. I don't know how many are 125 are left. Okay. I mean, I know it was pricey, but again, for what it's for, it's not going to get any more personal than that. So if you want to grab 1, 2, 10, whatever it may be, yeah, and 100% of all of that is going directly to Darrell and the family for all the medical expenses. So awesome. Appreciate that. Let's see what else we got. So anyway, all right. So we've kind of touched on a few of those. Man, I've been doing this. I haven't even had any Four Roses. All right. Let's touch on this for a few minutes on a couple of brands that I think maybe need a little more love, whether it's they're newish, whatever it may be. This is one of the simpler ones, but what it is that Ben Holiday is doing, and they've got that soft red wheat. They have the, I think, Rickhouse proof, which is their barrel proof version. They are doing some absolutely amazing things. I just had the Rickhouse version, which is their kind of cask strength bourbon. I just had that a couple weeks ago at a local whiskey fest and was blown away. Absolutely loved the profile, the viscosity. It just kind of hit all of those great kind of characteristics that I enjoy in a bourbon. I think a lot of people will really appreciate that as well. So hey Joe, hopefully everything is going. I saw the post that you made today, so hopefully everything went well. I believe it was a surgery, if I'm not mistaken, but I hope everything went well for everybody. So what else we got here? So, but anyway, that's one. If you guys are ever on the fence or see something from Ben Holiday, or you see the new soft red wheat, or you see that Rickhouse version, give it a try. Also, they do something that's pretty cool. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but probably not. I don't think it's going to. Oh, there you go. So that right there gives you a little idea of the floor that it came from, and then what the Rickhouse was. So in terms of the blends on this one, now this is going back a little ways. This is showing that 44% of this blend came from the first floor, and 56% of this blend came from the fifth floor of Warehouse C. So it's kind of cool that you're seeing that they're blending exactly what floors, what Rickhouse. So I like what it is that that Ben Holiday is doing. So now this one will be a quick one here. Anything from Sagamore, guys, I think people are kind of a little bit onto this, but this is still a brand to me that still doesn't seem to get enough, I think, respect or enough love, whatever it may be. They're doing some absolutely crazy things. So yeah, we're on the list, and that will be something that we'll be doing in 2024. Just had a conversation with a couple people a couple weeks ago about that, so we're on the list for that. So yeah. Come on, Betty. Come on. Um, well, let's see what else we got. Um, Man, I'll tell you, it's really good. And if you can get that new-ish, like I think they're calling it the Rick House release or something like that. Anyway, that's like, I believe their cast strength. And I had one that they did, and someone that they also brought a barrel pick, and I absolutely loved them. So now here's another one. I've been kind of banging the drum with for my boy Nick and Found North. We'll kind of let Moose in on the deal with this one a little bit. So this is kind of bringing a little bit of Canada into the States, and what it is that that Nick and his team do with Found North is, I mean, simply incredible. I think that whiskey is in my opinion. Again, I've not had all of them, so I love what it is that they're pulling from those Canadian whiskeys and blending here and then releasing that stuff here. And it's just absolutely incredible. So what else? Now here's one over the course of the last, I'll say, handful or two, not even two, I think the few handfuls, but what it is that Barrel has started doing specifically with their batches, I'll say anywhere from about 31 to now through 35 have all been really on point. This one actually just happens to be that Amburana. Now I know that's really hit or miss for a lot of people. There was a lot of traction for a while with it, and it was crazy. But I think what this one kind of, I think really how it ended up being a nice one with me was the fact that it wasn't so just completely overdone with the Amburana finish, that it made it much more enjoyable. So love what it is that Barrel has really kind of refocused on. So I think a lot of what Barrel is doing feels like, as they're releasing these new batches, like they feel like they're, I don't want to say automatic buys, but I would almost have no problem if someone said, hey, I saw a new release from Barrel, should I give it a try? I almost want to default and say yes. But it's one of those things that, again, to each their own. But I think what Barrel has been doing over the last several releases has been really on point. So here's one other one. And again, I know they source things, but what it is that Backbone oftentimes does is, again, a lot of different, really kind of fun things. I know they did, we did a pick with them, which was called the Flux Capacitor. It was a blend of a million different things. Fantastic bourbon. But they've done, oh my God, I'm like drawing a blank on some of the names of some of them. But they released a 10-year rye like last year, or maybe the beginning of this year. There was one that had a kind of a cool looking label that was a little bit, oh man, what was it called? But anyway, I think Backbone, I think really what they have kind of done, and the attention to detail that they've been kind of applying to a lot of their whiskey is just kind of on point. Like I've really kind of enjoyed a lot of what Backbone has put out. Again, I know they're working with a lot of MGP, but oftentimes it's what you do with that. If they're aging them differently, or whatever it may be, aging them in their particular area, there's things that can start to change these profiles. But for whatever reason, I've become a bigger fan of what it is that Backbone has kind of started to do. So for me, 100%. I had some of the RD1 at the Whiskey Fest, and honestly, Tim, I could have gone. I was indifferent with it. Like I know it's gotten a little bit of attention, but I liked the Backbone of the Barrel bourbons more than I liked what it was that the RD1. I was still, for me, focusing so much more on just that Amburana finish that it wasn't necessarily my thing. And again, to each their own. You know, if you like the RD1 more, then great. But I know. I love what it is that Nick is doing with Found North. Some of those profiles are absolutely incredible. So yeah, Deborah, I'm on board with that. I just enjoy what some of these backbone bourbons kind of have to offer. I like, there's something that's about them that they just have this thickness and richness to them that I really enjoy. So Scott, I love the Amburana Cinnamon Overload, but it seems like a perfumey vibe, but I do like it. And again, Richie, that's one of those things where, again, it is an acquired pour. Like, I think when you have something that's finished in Amburana, like, it's going to affect whatever else it is you have, like, after it. It feels like it's one of those finishes that you almost have to stick with it or do something else to get that flavor profile off your palate, just to not be completely affected by that. So anyway, but one other thing I'll mention again in a few minutes here. I'll get it set up and I'll drop a link in Patreon. Jason will probably join me as well, but we're gonna do this stuff for a patrons only, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the bottles that will be coming soon. Kind of things that we have going on, things we're talking about. You know, there's always that kind of stuff. So it's we'll be doing that live here in a few minutes. So, but the Forge, that's what it was. So it was the Forge on that one. So that was a nice pick. That was, again, interesting. The Forge was a little more similar to what we did with our flux capacitor. So it was a lot of fun. So what else we got here? That Forge, the Forge was kind of a fun one. It was an interesting bottle, again, with the different finishes and stuff that it had, made it something that was slightly different and unique. So anyway, there were kind of a few kind of things I wanted to just talk a little bit about tonight. I think for the most part, everyone was kind of on board. I know not always the case. And again, that's part of it. You don't have to agree with me on everything or anything, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it's whatever you enjoy the most. Great. That's how I've always done, even reviews. I don't rank anything. I don't do any of that. If you appreciate the nosing and the tasting part of it, great. If you don't, then, you know, it's finding somebody else that you align with, that you enjoy or get similar kind of tasting notes. And that's kind of the idea, is that you find something that you enjoy, and whatever that is, with it being 100% subjective, you're never wrong, you know? So anyway, but all right. So now for patrons, we're going to be jumping over again on my channel. I'll drop something in the Patreon. You'll get a link. You guys can join. We'll probably open it up at some point and maybe have a pour or two with you guys if you want to do that. Again, we'll update everything that we know right now, what's coming, all of that kind of good stuff, what we're going to be working on. Next week, I actually have Brian Smith from Hard Truth. He'll be coming on with me, and we'll be talking a little bit about that brand. That was one of them, again, that probably doesn't get nearly the love. And again, I think that has a lot to do with allocation and all of that as well, where not everyone can get it. Here's another one. If you guys are unfamiliar with what Art of the Spirits is doing out of Colorado Springs, again, they're sourcing things. But again, here is where, when you do something different, and they're getting things from others that are not just MGP and some old whiskey. And what Richard and his team are doing with some of those things is incredible. So if you see something from Art of the Spirits. Pay kind of close attention to that. I think that's something you guys will appreciate as well. So anyway, so yeah, next week I'll have Brian Smith, the head distiller for Hard Truth. He'll be on with me, and we'll be talking about the distillery, the whiskey brand, everything going on, what's coming, things along those lines. So hopefully you guys will be able to tune in next Tuesday and for that kind of nice conversation. So, but thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody for joining me tonight. As always, love seeing you guys. Love chatting, just getting your perspective on things. That's what this is really all about. You know, we all have opinions, and whatever that opinion is, it's exactly that. And there's no right or wrong. Whether you agree or disagree, that's a whole other thing. But the idea with this tonight was just to get a little conversation going, talk about a few things that were kind of on my mind and all of that. So, but want to say thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday. Like I had mentioned before, I'll be dropping a link here in Patreon shortly, so that we can again chat about everything. So if you're a patron, watch for the link. I'll be dropping that stuff here in a couple minutes. But thanks, everybody. Appreciate all the love, the support. Can't say thank you enough for all of that. But as always, remember, it's about the journey, not the destination. We will see you guys next Tuesday. Cheers, guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Tuesday. Cheers.